Was that another former English international that played for Steven Gerrard linked to the football club? Who is it? Leighton Baines, man. How did I not guess Leighton Baines? Had a tenner on the English sweepstake. I had Gareth Barry.
Glorious. No, I won't give in till I'm victorious.
Hello everyone, this is CJ Novo 982 and today we are back with another brand new video. Today's video we will not only be talking about the Rangers news, we will also be discussing and finding the truth out about a deliciously clickbaited Rangers rumour that you know is in the titles. Whether it's up there, it's down there, you know I've clickbaited it. But as always, just a friendly reminder in case you are new around here and you haven't subscribed already, it's free, it doesn't cost you anything and it's right down there and it just helps us on our way towards 55k. 55 and 55k, let's make it happen. So without any further ado, let's just dive into today's video then, shall we? 3, 2, 1. Story number 1 then, it's going to be about the man by the name of Graham Dorrans. Now what's weird about story number 1 is it's a bit of a mixture of the latest news, like the Scotsman and HITC and stuff like that's ran stories about Graham Dorrans getting nearer to an exit from the Glasgow Rangers, but also weirdly in the last video I made there was a hell of a lot of questions from you guys down there in the comment section below 3 days ago asking whether Graham Dorrans has a future at Rangers. So I thought let's combine them, you know, one of these, and actually discuss Graham Dorrans and see whether or not he has a future at the famous. Now what's quite weird about Graham Dorrans, if you saw my video just a couple of days ago involving Jamie Murphy, we spoke about him being sort of the forgotten man and the fact that he was robbed of playing last season under a Steven Gerrard's Rangers side and a team with a spine in it, you know what I mean, an actual good Rangers team, because the year that Jamie Murphy and Graham Dorrans was playing consistently for Rangers, the managers that were in charge, questionable to say the least. And I genuinely believe we haven't seen the best of Graham Dorrans in a Rangers shirt because of that. I mean, I'd have loved him to be able to play last season, but when you actually look at the stats, he only managed 3 appearances overall, only playing 88 minutes. I mean, in those 3 appearances, within those 88 minutes, he nearly created a game winner versus Villarreal, which would have took the absolute roof if there was on that stadium, because he has that class, he has that ability, but unfortunately injuries prevented him from playing last season. Now as it stands when I'm currently making today's video, Graham Dorrans has only 1 year left on his deal, and I think that's why a lot of the newspapers and a lot of the rumours are that Rangers are trying to ship him off, because if they want any moolah for Mr Graham Dorrans, it has to be this summer, because if they wait to January then he can sign him obviously for another club with a pre-contract. Now let's take a step back and look at Graham Dorrans' overall career for the Glasgow Rangers. He has managed 23 games, he has scored 5 goals and has 4 assists during those games as well. But the other stat that's obviously going to pop out is the time that he spent out injured. That is the biggest thing. I mean, it's so crap to say, but there is a real recurring theme in Graham Dorrans' career, especially over the last 5 years, and that is injuries. I mean, how many times have we all said between ourselves when Graham Dorrans is fully fit and he's ready to go, and if he can stay clear of injuries, he will be a very, very important player for the Glasgow Rangers. But when you actually look at it, that's not quite happened for a very long time. I mean, when you look at it, the season before he signed for us, he only managed to play 24 games in that season because of a serious injury that made him miss the rest of the season. And in fact, the last time that Graham Dorrans managed to play a single campaign without a lengthy time out being injured was the 15/16 season. And diving even deeper into that, the last time that Graham Dorrans managed to play over 30 games in a single year was the 14/15 season. So since that season, he has played less than 30 games every single year. In fact, the number has even gone down further and further, which is absolutely a shame for him. So in reflection of that, I think if we're going to keep Graham Dorrans a part of our first team squad and keep him, we're going to have to manage him smartly. That's basically what I'm going to say here. He's not going to play week in and week out. He's never not going to be able to play every 2 weeks. We're just going to have to use him in certain games and certain ability and make sure that he stays injury free, because when he does play, when he is 100% and he's ready to go, you can clearly see the talent. It's just getting him to that spot, and again, that's not his fault, that's not a dig at him. Injuries are an absolute killer, and unfortunately it's just hindered his career. But turning attention to some good news, I am very, very happy to sit here and say that Graham Dorrans, as it stands when I'm making today's video, is fully fit and ready to go and ready to attack next season. I mean, I watched him a couple of weeks ago versus Falkirk where he managed to play the entire 90 minutes and he wrapped the bar with a beautiful strike from about 40 yards out. It looked in the entire way, so clearly the man still has it. But if you followed this channel for a long time, whenever we speak about players potentially leaving or even players potentially coming into the football club, we always look at the competition for places. So let's do that with Graham Dorrans and see if it helps us in our decision whether or not we think that Graham Dorrans has a future at the famous. Unfortunately for Graham Dorrans, At least he's not a winger. I mean, I'll say that about him. He's fine about that one. Unfortunately, he plays in the second most stacked position at the football club, which is the centre of the park. Just at the top of my head, before we even sign anyone, if we do sign anyone in the summer, we have Ryan Jack. We have Scotty Arfield, aka the man who scored a goalkeeper. Getting sick of it yet? I hope not. We have, did you know he only cost 50k? Mr. Glenn Kamara. We have Greg Docherty coming in off a Player of the Year season, and also Jordan Rosser, who a lot of people are forgetting, but he managed to stay injury free down at Bury, and he put in performance week in and week out there as well. The midfield is absolutely stacked, and on top of that, we have the playmaker who's been dictating play over the last 9 weeks, who could potentially have been the best player within those 9 weeks, and that is a fully fit Stephen Davis. And with that being said, now that we have looked at Graham Dorrans, we've looked at his numbers, and we've also looked at the competition for places, now it is on us to share our opinions on whether or not we think that Graham Dorrans has a future at the Famous. Get your thoughts down there in the comment section below, and while you guys are also doing that, I'll jump over to Twitter in just a second once I share my opinion on. And if I'm honest with you, this is probably one of the toughest ones I've had to answer, because again, I can see his quality. I mean, I watched him stroll that game. I know it's just a reserve league game, but there was a lot of good young players in there, but you just saw that he was just above everyone else, just intelligence wise. He's so clever with the ball, and I just think some of the games that I think back on last season where we just lacked that brain in the midfield, maybe just to drive us forward, try a little fancy flick, try and find one of those balls in behind. I'm pretty sure Graham Dorrans would be able to do that. So for me, it'd be a keep Graham Dorrans. But when you look at the numbers and you look at what his input actually is, it's unfortunate for Graham Dorrans that he just cannot stay consistently enough away from injuries. But believe it or not, I'm going to stop beating around the bush here. I'm actually going to say yes, Graham Dorrans has a future at the Famous, and I'll tell you why. I don't think he'll be able to fill in and replace for Ryan Jack or Glenn Kamara whenever we do rotations, because those two are absolutely animals. I mean, the stamina that they two have are frightening. Going box to box the entire game, not many can do what those two do. But when you look at the Stephen Davis role, just that midfield player, again, he doesn't need to do too much running because it's been done for him, but it's just good on the ball, it can pick a pass. I think Graham Dorrans, not every week, but whenever we need to rest Stephen Davis, could potentially fill that spot, or even replace Scotty Arfield whenever that man needs a rest as well, and just add that little bit of quality to make sure we still have quality. Because it's fine to get rid of him, he's not going to play every week, but when we are forced to make changes like we saw in that Kilmarnock game, we have a lot of players that's off the pace, and I don't think Graham Dorrans is that far off the starters, if I'm honest. And now that me and thee have had their say, let's jump over to Twitter and get this loaded up. There's been 981 votes already, and there's still 45 minutes remaining. Thank you so much for that incredible support. 58% of the people on Twitter votes for no, Graham Dorrans doesn't have a future at the Famous. Now let's hear from the people. Adfredco Morelos writes in, nope, big wages, dodgy knees and dodgy ankles, it's just throwing away money. Dave writes in, not sure anymore. Is he better than Arfield, Jack, Kamara or Davis? I'm not sure. And the last 2 or 3 that we'll actually read out, scroll down just to try and give everyone a chance. Neil writes in, no, his legs are gone. And the last one we read out comes from Craig MO808. He says, yes, give him till Xmas to prove his fitness. Now moving over to story number 2, it's going to be talking about the most deliciously clickbaited rumour over the last couple of days. I mean, when I say this exploded on Twitter, it was everywhere. I mean, throw up the picture, this picture alongside the caption of Steven Gerrard in talks with Leighton Baines, as again, he fits the profile. I mean, being English, having some kind of tie to Steven Gerrard, has pictures with Steven Gerrard, and is also free as he's out of contract. It's exciting, isn't it? Unfortunately, that picture right there that's been used in a lot of the clickbait and a lot of the Twitter sphere is unfortunately an old picture. In fact, that picture was taken in 2014 and ran in the Daily Record about Steven Gerrard taking some of the English teammates out for a shopping spree. And I know there was a lot of Everton transfer accounts that were talking about the transfer and everything like that, but apart from Twitter, there is no other solid concrete evidence. In fact, the Daily Record even ran a story today saying that this is not happening, there's no evidence, it's just a complete and utter Twitter rumour. So by all accounts, there's no concrete evidence at all to suggest that Rangers are looking at Leighton Baines, so that one looks like it's not true. However, it does bring up an interesting question I want to ask you guys. Is the left back spot an area Rangers need to improve in the summer? When you look at it on the books right now, we have 3 players currently. We've got the shithouse king himself, Mr. John Flanagan, who again started off okay, fell away and then raised like a shithouse phoenix and played tremendously well in the last 7 weeks at the left back spot. And the second player we've got in the books is BB, the unquestionably talented left back who just needs to toughen up, grow up here and get fitter, and he would be a terrific player for us. And last but not least, we've got the utility man, Andy Halliday. In fact, the people's utility man, Andy Halliday, always ready and prepared to play whenever he is needed. For me personally, John Flanagan is our number one left back. I mean, you look at the stats, our clean sheet ratio is much higher when John Flanagan plays at left back, especially compared to the other two. And I think the last 7 weeks you saw a slimmer, fitter John Flanagan, and I think for that, based on that 7 weeks, as much as we can talk up Stephen Davis and some of the other players who really stepped up, I think John Flanagan's certainly in that camp, and for me personally deserves another chance to start next season to see if he continue where he left off. The other two, I think Andy Halliday will stick around because Gerrard loves him, and again he can play anywhere whenever he's needed. That's always important. But BB, again, is always going to be a question, so get your thoughts and opinions out there. Do we need a new left back coming next season? And as always, the third and final part of every single Rangers roundup is picked by you guys, one of the people, one of the nations, and this week's actually comes in from Edam, who is actually a St Mirren fan, but he always watches and takes part in the channel, so congratulations on keeping Dundee United down. But he writes in to ask us, the people out of Rangers Football Club, what position needs to be strengthened the most. So we just talked about whether or not left back should be strengthened, but overall in the squad, when you look at our starting 11, where is the single most important position that needs to be improved? Get your thoughts and opinions down there, and I will see you guys and discuss it there in the comments section below. If you'd like to buy some charity matches, we are now only 5 days away, so if you're going to come and help support the cause, today is the day of all days. Go ahead and buy your tickets and help support a fantastic cause, which is obviously Sam H, which is dealing with mental health and suicide prevention. As also, if you would like to help support the channel directly, the link for that is again down there in the description below, alongside the 51 Patreons helping to support the channel. Keep on rocking. And now, unfortunately, we have to end today's video. I've been CJ Over 92. Thank you so much for watching, and bye.